Hey guys, what is going on? It's Fen here again. Today I want to talk a little bit about WarZ versus DayZ. Now, they're going to get a lot of these videos coming out from now until these games actually officially, properly release. And, I wanted to get mine out there, my opinion, because of course it's going to change over the course of the development of these games because new information comes out, different things, something you might not agree with or you might agree with now and that you might not agree later on. So, I want to get my opinion out there, and then hopefully my opinion will maybe stay the same or change. It depends on how the games are developed, because at the end of the day, I'm going to be buying one of these games to play fully, and I want to basically know the ins and outs of these games and pick the best one that suits me. Not the best game, but the best one that suits me as a player. Now, it's really important that when choosing a game that has two games in competition, such as WarZ and DayZ, very similar games, but it all depends on the outcome of that game. Will it suit me in terms of using guns? Will it suit me in terms of realism? Will it suit me in terms of enjoyment? Will the graphics be good? Will my PC be able to handle it? Why does it have such high graphic demands when it looks like crap? All these things will come into consideration when choosing one of these games to play. And there's a few other games out there similar to these, but I think WarZ and DayZ, because generally the names are very similar as well. But in terms of gameplay, from what we've seen so far, everything looks kind of similar. So, obviously, of course, it's going to be hard to fully digress our opinions on these, simply because one of the games is halfway done and playable, and the other one is still in development. So, there's only so much we can actually speculate and give an opinion on right now. But let's do it anyways and see how we get on. So let's talk about stats. Now, these stats are on Facebook only, so of course they're going to be inaccurate, but this is the only information we really have in terms of how well the games are doing. So let's go from there. So WarZ was actually created in 2011, but no content was actually added to their Facebook account until July 2012. And since then, or before then, 2011, I'm not quite sure when people started liking and following these guys, but to date, they have 32,000 people who actually like the idea of this game and support them, and they have 20,000 plus people who are actually talking about this game, which is very good. So let's have a look at DayZ now. So, DayZ was actually created in 2012, and they started posting content on January. And basically, they are doing extremely well. They have 27,000 people who like the idea of this game, who support them, but they've only got just under 5,000 people talking about this game. Now, going on these stats, of course, WarZ is doing better, but DayZ is doing better in terms of players and in terms of other aspects which we will talk about later. So let's have a look at the WarZ website. Now, the website is very important in any game company because that's one of the first things people will see when they go to your website to invest or to see if they want to buy the game, to see what news there is, to post on the forums about issues, look at the FAQ, pre-order or buy the game. Website is very important. Now, as for WarZ's website, it's very nice. It's simple. It's clean, but it's grungy, so it's got a really nice zombie effect. The background is very graphical. You've got some really ugly looking zombies in there, and it really gives you the feel that this is a zombie game. I don't even have to read the title or understand what it means. This is a zombie game because I can clearly see from the background, big ass zombie game. Now WarZ, people could misunderstood that title for World War games, stuff like that. But because they have a zombie head in the logo, you kind of get the feeling that this isn't really like a Modern Warfare game or anything like that. And of course, the Z is being painted out of blood, so you're thinking, well, someone's got to be a psycho to do that, right? So I don't know. For me personally, I get the feeling that even without looking at the zombies, that I know that this is going to be some type of zombie game, just because of how grungy the logo is, how, you know, a zombie head is there, and how the Z is actually painted out of blood. I'd expect it to be a monster type based game rather than a FPS shooter where it's player versus player. Now, as far as the website design goes, very simple, very nice. It gives you the information that you need. It isn't splattered with 50,000 different menus to go through. It's red and dark. Now, red is a very powerful colour, and it's probably the most used colour in any zombie game, really, because red is very powerful. They use it in Resident Evil, etc. Red is just a powerful colour, and it represents blood as well, because, of course, blood is red. So, actually, people said that blood is actually blue, but because the air gets to it, it actually turns red. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but I heard that somewhere. Anywho, let's have a look at DayZ. So this is the DayZ website, and the first thing you notice on this website is they have over 1 million players, and that is very good to basically indicate to people this game is actually being played by 1 million people, and it is still growing. So that's very, very cool. Now again, they've used dark colours and they've used red. Now, instead of using dark greys, they've actually used mainly blacks and dark greys for specific things such as borders and that type of thing. Now, instead of going for zombies in the background, they've gone for more of a wood kind of cabin feel, which, you know, doesn't say to me straight away that this is a zombie game, because nothing on the screen that I can see represents zombies. This would, for me, mainly show that this would be an army game, from the fact that they've got Armor 2 on there. If I was a new person and I had no idea what DayZ was, from the indications I see, you've got a guy holding an AK. I'm thinking, you know, Counter-Strike style, okay. And then I see the army guy with his face painted in the right, you know, armor looks army. And then I see what will you become? And I don't see any zombies really, and I see people, so I'm kind of getting the indication that it's going to be a survival game, but it's not going to be a zombie game. So perhaps they're not giving the right impression with the website straight off the bat. So I'd have to actually search through the website to figure out what the game actually was. But of course, common sense basically tells you at this stage, if you're on this website, then you kind of know what you're looking for anyways. So, you know, they're kind of covered in both directions, but I would like to see a lot more, this is a zombie game rather than this is an army game. But again, they've got to respect that this is still a mod, and this is the mod website, so you can't really say, well, you know, they could have done things differently, because they're basically supporting Armor, which is supporting them with this mod and basically allowing them to create a standalone game for this. So again, I'll be happy to review this again when we get the official website from the standalone. I think that'd be really interesting. As far as this one right now, again, they've used dark colours, they've used red, and, you know, the same feeling. So last thing I want to talk about, but I don't get the games in general. The face that this is now, I'm not going to review any gameplay, because it's unfair to review that, because DayZ has already been out for quite a while now, and they're basically still developing the game, so things are going to change for them in general anyways. But WarZ doesn't have any gameplay out yet, so we can't exactly compare them equally, or as best as equally as we can. So I'm going to be doing screenshot reviews just to kind of keep it as even as I can. So the first thing that strikes me with WarZ is everything is kind of repetitive. Now take these zombies for instance, they've all got shirts on, they've all got jackets on, they've all got pants on, and I assume they all have shoes on. Can't exactly see that, but in the real world, which is this is supposed to represent, people don't always wear jackets, people don't always wear t-shirts. For God's sake, some people don't even wear t-shirts, some people wear vests, some people wear shorts, some people wear I don't know, Adidas pants. Of course they can't put that type of stuff in because it's branding, but you know, generally shorts, sandals, boots, you know, people in different types of uniforms, police officers, fire brigade, office guys, people who are going to the park, gym, that type of thing, all that should be incorporated into this. But of course, in the setting that they have given us, now we're kind of in, I don't know, I'd say a hillbilly type thing, but then in the background in this picture we have kind of modern buildings, which Again, really wouldn't fall into that category. I'm not well versed in travel, so I wouldn't know if something like this actually existed. Perhaps it does. Kind of weird though if it did. To have a really modern section and then the rest of it like completely trees and more like hillbilly type thing. No disrespect intended. But generally, I don't think the clothes fit the scenario. As you can see here, everything looks the same. There's no bright colours, there's no bright orange, bright yellow, flowered patterns, anything like that. It's all dull colours. And when you're going in for something realistic, and realism is very important, and this isn't realistic because sure, their clothes would be dirty and decaying from blood and their faces all decaying and that kind of stuff, but they would still be wearing different types of clothes, bright clothes, that type of thing. Now, one thing I like in this image is in the background you can see that's where the survivors are actually held up. And I'm not sure if they've built this themselves, which would be extremely cool if you could actually make your own little fort to survive the night or just to camp out, that type of thing. I think constructing things in the game would be excellent. And this could have been, like one of the talents really, an engineer. The more you build, the more you actually improve your skills. So here, this is one of the images I do not like. The reason is because there's massive amounts of zombies and it feels like a shooter. Now sure, it's a zombie game, you want to find guns so you can kill the zombies, but this feels like kind of like Left 4 Dead, where it's just massive zombies that you've just got to kill them with a machine gun. There's no realism in it really. You wouldn't want to shoot into a crowd of zombies because that's going to attract, all of the zombies to come and eat your brains. And DayZ does this very well. They incorporate that you've got to sneak, you've got to take your shots at this, precise time. You can't just go in guns blazing. And unfortunately, that's what WarZ feels like in this screenshot. It feels like it's a game where you go in and you just spray and pray and kill all the zombies and then move on. It's not true survival. It doesn't feel good at all. Now, this screenshot is basically, I don't know really. It feels nice to have this perspective because, of course, DayZ has this perspective. It has a third-person view and, of course, it has a first-person view. So it looks very cool, and I hope this is in the game because it brings a lot to the game to have different views on things rather than those being all the time in your first person view. Sneaking around, of course it's kind of realistic, but I'm pretty sure if the zombies turn around they would be able to see them there, so not particularly realistic. But I mean, if they were in a ghillie suit, then of course it'd be different. You could get away with a ghillie suit, but these people are kind of sticking out like a sore thumb, and the zombies still are, catching on. So, I'd like to see that improve, really. But my overall thoughts on WarZ so far is it looks good. It's got potential, but they have to do it correctly. They can't have people, spraying and praying into zombies and all that kind of stuff because it's just not authentic realism. And I'd like to see a lot of the textures change, actually change it up to real life stuff. Now the bonuses with, of course, WarZ is it's still in development, so there's a lot of change that can happen. The only bad thing is it's based off another engine, which is kind of bad but kind of good because of course the game is going to be out sooner. But the way the engine is designed, it's designed for a shooter, a shooting game. It's not designed for a survival game. Now, this is why DayZ is so good, because DayZ, or rather Armour, is based about realism warfare and that type of thing. That's why DayZ is so unique and so popular, because who wants to go around shooting zombies, hack and slashing all the time? Not many people want to do that because they do it all the time with every other single game. People want something different. They want to be stealthy. They want to, take the shots. I've got 5 bullets left. What do I do with them? That type of thing. And I think that's what's really selling DayZ to a lot of people. So hopefully the WarZ will catch on and actually incorporate a lot of this. Now, saying that, WarZ does have a really nice not talent calculator, but talents in general into the game, which is making it very unique. And I'm not sure, is DayZ actually an MMO? I don't really think it is. But WarZ has said that this is an MMO, so you've got to get talents, that type of thing, which could be very good or it could be very bad. Until we see trailers and more information on this, you can't really judge for sure. But overall, WarZ is looking good and it has potential. So going by screenshots alone, DayZ looks very nice. It looks very real. And that's basically based on the Armor engine. So if that's incorporated into the standalone edition of DayZ, then this could be really good. Now, of course, they're basically making it into a standalone, like I said, and this is going to open up a whole new different aspect to the game. They're going to be able to customize their own animations and generally a lot of things in the game. Now, as far as a mod goes, you can add quite a few things, but you can't go into as much detail as making your own game as a standalone, because there's a lot of restrictions from the actual original game that you can't bypass. But as far as the standalone goes, they've already said they're going to be adding new animations, which is extremely needed for the zombies, because the hitboxes and the time they attack to the time you take damage is very hideous. In my opinion. But I like the game, DayZ, and the reasons I like it is because, of course, I've seen a lot of gameplay of it, so that's really swayed me to saying this game is really good. But on the side of actually seeing gameplays, having bandits in the game, people choosing to be bandits, getting points for actually taking down bandits, being able to distinguish against bandits and just friendly people is really nice as well. Now, sniping in DayZ is a very big part, yet people wouldn't really know how to use sniper rifles if they're in an everyday apocalypse. So, some type of system to train would be very good, to make your own silencers from bottles and that type of stuff. Gaining, this all falls into how they're going to develop the game. Because in my opinion, in WarZ and DayZ, having the ability to increase your experience in general stuff such as surviving, being a hunter, engineering, that type of stuff, by actually doing the tasks. So let's say you want to fix a helicopter. You've got no idea what you're doing, so you attempt to fix it, but you actually naff it up even more. But you gain 10 points in experience. So the next time you try fixing a helicopter, you might actually get halfway and gain more points. And then when you get further down the line, you might have 100 in engineering, so you will be able to fix every helicopter that you run into. Something like that would be really good to give people the experience of that game. But then again, if it's in DayZ environment, once you die, you lose everything. It's going to be very difficult. But then again, saying that, people might become more important. You could take someone hostage and have them fix your helicopter if they're a medic. Fix people who have been shot or injured, or try revive people, stuff like that. DayZ is very nice for team coordination. Of course, like I said, sniping is probably the number one thing people do because it's the most fun, and you don't have to be there in the midst of things. You can actually stay at a very long distance and pick off people, or send one of your friends in to get gear while you cover them from a distance. All this type of stuff is very good. Now, nothing in the WarZ screenshots show me that they've got any indication of food, water, temperature, or blood like DayZ does have. Now, DayZ is very, very realistic. Now, of course, same with WarZ as in DayZ, the textures and stuff are very repetitive, so you see them all the time. As you can see in this one, everyone looks the same. They've all got a hat on, they've all got blue pants, and they've all got like a grey-blue top on, and they've all got a vest on as well. Sure, two of them are black, one of them's brown, but generally they look the same. And it's really be nice to have them different. People wouldn't wear the same clothes unless they raided the same clothing store. You know what I mean? Things need to be a little bit different, and hopefully they will actually add that into the game. Now, as far as DayZ being an MMO game, I'm not quite sure if it falls into the MMO category. simply because it doesn't feel an MMO to me. It feels like a survival game. I'm not quite sure what genre it would fall under, really. I hope it is an MMO, and I hope to see talents and stuff like that in the game that allow you to be more beneficial to other people rather than them just killing you straight away. In terms of DayZ, I really like the fact that you can ride bicycles. I mean, that's a very nice touch. It'd happen in real life. If I found a bicycle, shit, I'd be on that and I'd be pedaling away from them zombies. That'd be awesome. Cars, vehicles, helicopters, really cool stuff. Very rare to find. You can repair them if you've got the tools. And of course, you can even drive a bus, which is really cool. Now, I do like the concept that when you start in DayZ, you start with nothing. It would be nice if you started with a melee weapon, or you could melee in general. That would be really good. To actually punch the undead or pick up stones from the ground and chuck them at the undead. You know, stuff like that. Or if you're being tracked by an undead, I don't know why I'm saying undead, but a zombie. If you could pick something up off the ground like a stone and throw it behind them, they would get distracted by that and slowly move away from you if they're actually, you know, following you, because they might think, oh, something else is there, a lot easier to get. You know, a lot of things could be implemented into the game that could make it even better, and it's the small details like that, the small realism details that will make the DayZ in general a really, really powerful and really well-wanted game. Now, if they incorporate this stuff into WarZ, then I don't know, you see, because DayZ is very realistic. You can break your legs by climbing over stuff. You can break your legs by falling off of buildings. In terms of WarZ, from the screenshots and looking at War Inc., I'd feel that you wouldn't break your legs if you jumped off a building. You'd be pretty much okay. You might lose a little bit of health, and that'd be it. And if they're going in that direction, then the game is going to be very bad. Because it's not realistic. You want a realistic zombie game. This is an apocalypse. Realism is your friend. And I was listening to a video of the developer of DayZ, and he seemed extremely knowledgeable in what he was talking about and his vision for DayZ. So at the minute, my money is on DayZ. I think it's going to be a way better game than WarZ. But again, this is the information that I have now. My opinion could and possibly will change in the future when more information comes out. But that's just basically an overlook of WarZ and DayZ, two powerful games, and both in the midst of development. So that's really it for this episode, guys. So I hope you enjoyed the comparison. If you've got any questions or any opinions of your own, leave them in the comment section below, and that would be awesome. So I will catch you guys next time. Peace.